Hey everybody, this is Perch, and if you were listening to this channel, you heard my prediction a bit ago that uh, Marvel artist Joe Bennett was most likely going to be basically removed from Marvel. That the kind of the latest event from him, or this reemergence of old cartoons that really kind of coincided with the announcement of him being on a new title would ultimately lead to Marvel walking away. And this is where the video I did was very quick. It was talking more about kind of the moment of Al Ewing kind of disavowed Bennett and said he wouldn't work with him anymore, and kind of talking about the timing and all of it. The thing that video didn't get well was that there's a lot of pieces to all this, and they get very conflated together. There's a lot of different elements. We're going to attempt to break it down a little bit better for you here today, to kind of tell you what's happening. Because sure enough, as predicted, the Marvel has announced they have broken all ties with Joe Bennett. They've removed him from the upcoming Project Timeless, in which he was meant to work on that with Jed MacKay, Kev Walker, and Mark Bagley, which was going to be kind of the kickoff to a big Kang event. Obviously, Marvel was very, I think, fond of Joe Bennett for the work he did on Immortal Hulk and the sales and kind of this rise of prominence. It's really been one of the first times Hulk has had a breakout book in some time. I'm trying to think of the last time. Probably you have to go back to Peter David, Dale Keown, kind of that, Gary Frank, kind of that time period, probably. Maybe Todd McFarlane on that book. That was the last time the book had real heat. Even when they had Mark Silvestri on the book for a period of time, it just didn't really move the needle. The Hulk has struggled as a title. And the Immortal Hulk, this new telling, really put the book back on the map. It was one of their bigger sellers. So let's go down kind of what happened. Basically, there's a number of events that led up to this. It's not just kind of one event, but the tipping point was when they announced Timeless #1, this issue that Bennett was going to be on. There was this outrage that kind of cropped up almost immediately within hours of that announcement as to why Bennett was getting another book. And from the tweets, many of which are now deleted, people seem to be under the impression that Marvel wouldn't be working with him again due to kind of two factors. One, there was this situation inside of the Immortal Hulk where number 43, where there appeared to be kind of reflected anti-Semitic messages around a Jewry, and that was number one. But number two, and probably the bigger one, is that people were really after him for making transphobic comments on his Instagram page. And in this case, it wasn't really comments. What they were referring to is people had made transphobic jokes on some of his material, and he had replied with the laughing emoji. Those emojis will get you into trouble. But it was really that one, and that was kind of the sleeper outrage that had gone on, where the Joe Bennett had been really labeled and branded as a transphobic artist and a hate artist by a number of people. So they seem to be under the impression that after Immortal Hulk concluded, he was done. Now, the question mark I have, by the way, just throughout all this, is if somebody is an awful person, whether you like the person, the sales that that person's bringing in or not, if the person is truly awful and you condemn them and you just think their stuff is reprehensible, you get a new artist, right? I mean, even if there's only like 5 or 6 issues left in the series, you don't go, well, this person is disgusting and I can't stand them, but I'm gonna pretend I've forgotten about that for 6 more issues, and then we're going to dump them all. That to me, it's like you got to live by your principles. And as a reader, by the way, keep in mind, I'm saying this as somebody who loves to have comic runs with the same writer and artist. I think that's absolutely preferable every step of the way. But principles matter. And I think if you're disgusted by somebody's behavior, you don't go, well, we're just going to pretend that we're going to forget about this for a couple issues, and then we're going to address it. That bugs me. That's my you may have a different view, but whatever. That's my perspective. Is if the person's disgusting, then you move now. You don't wait 6 months and then make a big parade of it, because Marvel in their statement basically said that They removed him from drawing his duties, and that the company will, a very definitive statement, we will not be working with him on any future Marvel projects. We're done. And Al Ewing kind of went on to say the artist is reprehensible. And his quote, Al Ewing's, was, "This isn't the first issue with Joe I've been made aware of." Ewing tweets, "I've spoken behind the scenes, but it's no comfort to people at the sharp end of this kind of brutal propaganda." Now, and so the thing that, so when they announced Timeless, some people found some two things kind of came about. First, there was Bennett had made some comments in relation to the 2019 assault of Glenn Greenwald, who is a journalist. What's crazy about that is that Glenn Greenwald is now somebody a lot of people attack. But in 2019, he was seen as a left-wing gay journalist, and attacking him was bad. Now attacking Glenn Greenwald is okay. But anyway, Bennett had made some comments there, which he deleted. So that kind of resurfaced again. And then in this cartoon that came up, and again, in the last video I covered this, but this was a 2017 Brazilian political cartoon featuring a Bolsonaro. And the entire Brazilian politics is a giant mess. Now, that in the cartoon, people are drawn as rats, and then there were some comments that it was anti-Semitism, but that didn't seem to wash, as people in the last video kind of pointed out, that that people just, when these kinds of situations come about, suddenly people start just throwing whatever terms they know. It's like, God, it's bigot, homophobic, transphobic, anti-Semitic, Nazi. I mean, they just start throwing words out. Some of those don't apply. Well, the situation down in Brazil is exceedingly complicated. And the American coverage of what's going on in Brazil is baffling, is probably the best way to put it, other than people seem to want to take the struggle in Brazil and put an American lens on it and then describe it, basically in relation to their own issues here in the U.S. But what's going on in Brazil is a very different problem, very complicated problem, and certainly not one that I think fits a lot of the allegations that get thrown around. But regardless, he made this cartoon in 2017. It was held up as being hateful. Bolsonaro is certainly a person who the left wing in the U.S. Is very much in opposition to. And so when this announcement of Timeless came up, all these things resurfaced, and he was like, I can't believe Marvel works with bigots, and the noise just grew and grew and grew and grew. And that was the mission for a good solid week, helped, of course, by Al Ewing saying he's cutting ties. Once again, I have to say, Al Ewing, by his own words, talks about having been made aware of things. He says, this isn't the first issue with Joe I've been made aware of. Okay, so with issues 1, 2, 3, and 4, it wasn't that bad, but issue 5, it's like, all right, now this 2017 cartoon, that now it's gone too far. That's the problem I have with those. Ewing does have some pull within Marvel. I think it'd be very easy for Ewing to say, I'm not going to work with this guy, get another artist on here. Like, the part about this entire story that just bugs me is that we went ahead and got to issue 50. We're just going to keep plugging away and getting this out. Anyway, for what it's worth, Bennett has apologized for the anti-Semitism in what appeared to be anti-Semitism in issue 43, and then again for the comments to Greenwald, and again for the laughing emojis in Instagram. I will say this, like, if there wasn't another message, and no, this is not a me saying you should hide your evil parts of yourself, but you should take note of the fact that emojis can be used to damn you. So, like on this channel, I have a bot that I used to use, which would go and it would just like the comments in the comment board. It would just go down and would like everything, because that was I was lazy. And then I didn't like. I'm like, you know what? This is supposed to indicate that I'm. And my initial thought was, I want to say thank you for posting. And then I'm like, well, I can't be thanking things I don't read, because I'd go back there and I'd see that I was, this bot was liking, people advertising for sex lines and other things, and that didn't make any sense. So now I do it manually. But the key is, if you have an Instagram account, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever it happens to be, if you are just liking something as acknowledgement that you've read it, if somebody makes a joke and you don't fully understand it, but you do kind of, because some of these transphobic comments that were made, I have no idea if Bennett understood it or not, but some of these jokes were obscure, I would say. And if you're an artist, you can't like, heart, anything like that. Forget comment. I think some artists think that, hey, if I don't comment on it, it will be okay. But I'll at least acknowledge that I looked at it. You can't do that. So if you're on one of these social media platforms, get off. I'm sorry. And I don't mean that like like the Jeffrey Toobin get off. I mean, you get off like cancel your account, because you're going to you're going to get hit with some of this stuff. And again, I don't know what all these other things that Bennett has done. I certainly think it would be disingenuous for anyone to say he's completely innocent. We don't have all the data. We don't know what he's done. We don't know how he's done it. I will say to me, the most damning thing, if you want to call it that, was that like hidden message with the jewelry. I mean, that could be an honest mistake, but probably not. There were a lot of elements to that. It would be it would be a little difficult to make that mistake. Could happen. Could happen. I'm just saying that everybody is certainly entitled to make judgments upon what they see. But, there's probably other stuff out there as well. So from what I've seen and from these comments, all I can say is that there are current active writers and artists at Marvel and DC who have done much worse things, much more direct and much more insulting, much more hateful things toward people. And they are cheerfully continuing to get work. So, I mean, there is coming a point where the standard is, it's going to collide. I think in comics, they've been enjoying this luxury of the fact that the rules kind of get made up as they go. But we're very close to hitting a point where, the lawyers are going to get involved, and it's going to be like, well, I hear you that, you like this content but not this other content, but the standard has to be the same legally, or you're going to start getting sued. I mean, that ultimately is where some of this stuff is going. I think comics has had a reprieve because most of the people who would sue are either A, not, they don't have enough money to do it, or B, there's been this inherent fear in comics that if you sue, then you're definitely never getting work there again. But, that fear only takes you so far. I think with Substack and with some of the other options that are popping up for people, saying you no longer get to work with Marvel may not be the big threat that people once thought it was. I don't know. So what happens from Joe Bennett from here? Well, undoubtedly, he has made his living in other places. I mean, he's been working for Marvel for, like 20 years more. It's been forever. 27 years Bennett has been working for Marvel. So he has made money other places, and I think he will go and make money from those places. Maybe he goes and goes into business for himself and does some kind of project. I'm sure some people are reaching out to him as we speak to see if they can get him on board. Regardless, that's the conclusion to this two-part story. Marvel fully cutting ties officially, saying they will not be working with him on any future projects. Those are the stated reasons why. And what do you say? Is that enough for Marvel to cut ties with the guy or not? And if it is enough, what do you do with some of these other creators who have done? Screamed at people, done worse. I mean, I understand we live in a certain time in 2021 where it's fashionable to hate on some groups and not on other groups. But, I'm sure in 2017, Bennett making this cartoon, this political cartoon around Bolsonaro, sure that was not highly controversial then either. I'm saying in 2024, 2025, things could look a lot different. And some of the stuff, some of the people we're cheerfully dogpiling today, may not be that way in a couple of years. Things do tend to turn around. So, or at least come around. Maybe is a better way to put it. We'll see. Anyway, there you have it. So I predicted this would be the end of him, and sure enough, it's over for him at Marvel. You agree? You disagree? Let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe as always, and thanks for listening.